Go back to the audio settings. Streaming, guys.
How did you get it to work the first time?
You just try to disconnect from the settings of the audio.
Can you do that for me? Maybe I can just put the mic into it. So it's not connected. Can I just put the microphone to it and leave it on? Okay, but when I'm showing the video, I'm not speaking.
Just see if you go to it and see if go to built in. No. Let's try it one more time. Try it one last time.
Try it from the HDMI. No. I'm gonna escape. I'm gonna turn off.
Yeah, we just tried that now. We still have computer. This is shut down. That's fine. Go to setting again.
I can probably just stay on built-in and then put the microphone to my speaker. That'll work. That's what I'm gonna do. It's fine.
Just press the microphone.
No, it's fine. I'll just switch over. Just gonna swap.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you for joining us today for a very special event on Gaza. And we have a very special guest with us today, Sister Dunya Saeed, who has actually been serving Gaza families for over 22 years, mashallah. She started out with PCRF and then with Heal Palestine. With the extensive experience she has, she started her own foundation called Hanoun. So today she's going to talk to us about the humanitarian situation in Gaza, what Hanoun Foundation has been doing to serve our families, and how we can serve. So may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us the strength and ability to serve our families in Gaza, and inshallah we'll see a free Palestine. So now I'll introduce you to Dunya Saeed.
Jazakallah khair. Assalamu alaikum. I hope you and your families are well, and inshallah, I hope you are all having a blessed Friday. Jum'ah Mubarakah to everyone. Allow me to introduce myself. My name is Dunya. I am the daughter of this community. My late father, Allah yarhamah, Abdul Rahim Saeed, and my mom is Dihar, who many of the sisters might know from her store in Richfield, attended this mosque from the founding days in the early 90s. As a Palestinian American, like many of you, October 7th marked a profound shift in my life. The world changed before our eyes as we witnessed the devastation of the lives and the livelihoods of our brothers and sisters in Gaza. In November of 2012, I was blessed with the opportunity to serve our people in Gaza and in Palestine and in the diaspora. I undertook the responsibility of arranging free medical care for the children of Gaza and Palestine who needed it and who otherwise would not be able to get the care they needed locally in Palestine. I helped arrange free medical care for dozens, hundreds, maybe even thousands of kids across Gaza, Palestine, and the diaspora, most of them coming to the US for free medical care or really anywhere in the world that we were able to arrange their medical care for. Through the grace of God, thousands of children received the care they urgently needed. It was nothing special that I did. It was Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala's will that enabled me to do that work. As Sister Suha mentioned, I started working 12 years ago with PCRF. I volunteered with them when I was just a little kid in high school. They were bringing kids here to the US. I would visit them in the hospital. I would attend their events. I would volunteer in any position that they would offer. And by the grace of God, again, in 2012, I was offered a temporary job with them just to cover a maternity leave. And that led to my career in the humanitarian nonprofit world. Fast forward to 2019, where I was involved in developing a groundbreaking program in the Arab world to support the amputee community. This initiative provided prosthetic legs to amputee children and youth in Gaza, not only enabling them to walk again, but also addressing their mental and social needs. Last summer, I had the privilege and honor of being in Gaza. I was there to participate in an annual summer camp that we held every year for the amputee children of Gaza. We called it Camp Ability because we wanted to show these kids that they have the ability to do anything that their heart and mind would think of or imagine. The camp brought together 150 amputee children from Gaza, offering them life-changing experiences, filled with laughter, tears, and the creation of enduring memories that would impact their lives and mine forever. Upon returning home, just a few weeks later, October 7th occurred. The events of October 7 and its aftermath deeply affected each and every one of us. But for me, the impact was particularly profound. The people of Gaza are family to me, and the tragedy touched every family there, regardless of their wealth or size. Personally, I lost members of 9 families who I knew and cared for dearly. So now, who are we? Who am I? Dunya Saeed. I founded Hanoun Foundation. Hanoun Foundation, if you can see my logo here, I want to give you a little bit of the story behind it and why we called it Hanoun. Hanoun in Arabic translates to compassion. So the focus and goal of Hanoun Foundation is compassion and healing through faith. Most important thing, a factor in this line of work is having faith in God and knowing that anything and everything we do is by the will of God. So that's why faith is the utmost importance to us in this organization. So as the founder and executive director of Hanoun Foundation, a humanitarian organization dedicated to healing the children of Gaza through our programs, Our mission is rooted in the belief that every child in Gaza deserves the opportunity for a brighter future. We deliver both immediate and sustainable assistance to the youth and residents of Gaza, focusing on their holistic well-being. We emphasize compassion and healing through faith because the Quran teaches us, so in Surah 93, verse 9 and 10, so as for the orphan, do not oppress him, and for the petitioner, do not repel him. So basically, it is obligatory on us in Islam to serve those in need. As a non-political, non-profit organization, we are committed to providing our brothers and sisters in Gaza the support they need to build better lives. We are currently focusing on emergency relief through our various projects. Alhamdulillah, we are in a state we have both state and IRS registration and have been running our projects in Gaza since October 2023. By the grace of God first and the support of our community and other communities like ours, this work is possible. I have formed personal connections with many individuals in Gaza through my years of travel. Despite the communication challenges in Gaza, I've made every effort to maintain contact with them. It deeply saddens me to learn that 9 of the children I worked closely with, along with members of their families, have tragically lost their lives, some younger than the youngest kids in here. Their names, Iz, Muhammad, Ragad, Qusay, Farid, and many others will remain in my memory and serve as the driving force behind my presence here today. May Allah grant peace to the 40,000 plus individuals who have perished since the beginning of this conflict. Rest in peace and know that you are more than just a statistic. I'm going to share with you a short video clip, and then I will come back and explain to you what you're going to witness in this clip. And bear with me with the technical difficulty. We're just going to try to get the video to work through my computer. So in the video that you just heard, the person recording asks Rasha, the girl that you saw in the video, who is one of our social workers in Gaza, where do you want to go if the Israelis enter Rafah? She responds, to Jannah. That night, the Israelis invaded Rafah, and her tent was bombed. She lost her life along with her husband, leaving behind 4 children, the oldest of whom is just 10 years old. This is the sad reality of the life in Gaza. When I contact anyone I know there, the usual response I receive when I tell them stay safe is there is no place safe in Gaza. Our current programs in Gaza focus on providing immediate relief in response to urgent needs. We are running several projects simultaneously, including shelter projects, hot meal projects, food basket projects, water projects, baby formula projects, bread projects, and many others, and we'll go through them briefly. Our shelter project directly addresses the urgent need for housing due to the countless displacements of Gaza. So imagine the situation in Gaza for those of you that don't watch the news, especially I'm trying to reach the kids here because I want to focus on you to get you to imagine what life is like. Your home, which you lived in, you grew up in, you were born in, is bombed. You had to leave it, and as you're evacuating it, you probably look back and you see it disappear if you're lucky to make it out. You're displaced into a shelter, a tent. In October of 2023, when the Israelis were telling the Palestinians in Gaza from the north, leave to the south, we worked on a project to basically build shelter for families that were displaced and lost their home. We built a 3-phase project that enabled us to help, in the first phase, 350 families, the second phase, 250 families, and then a third phase that also sheltered another additional 200 families. We thought, in our mind, the safe place to build is Rafah, because that's where they were all directed to go to. When the night that Rasha that you saw in the video, when her tent was bombed, our entire camp was entirely gone. So all of the people that were living in that tent, in those tents, were out on the streets, most of them. Some of them found shelter in other tents, but most of them were out on the streets. And I received a call from one of the other social workers who I work with. And he asked me a simple question in Arabic. And I'll say it in Arabic, then I'll translate it in English. He said to me, "بترضي بناتنا وخواتنا يناموا في الشارع," which translates in English to, do you accept that our daughters and our mothers sleep in the street? I told him, absolutely not, and what can we do? He asked that we help run another phase of another shelter project for 250 families. This time, we were given a piece of land. It was a donated piece of land of 10 acres. We were told that we can build 250 tents and allow 250 families to move in. So we provided shelter. We don't want to just give these families a tent to sleep in. We want to try to make their living life a little bit dignified. So included in the tent, we also build communal bathrooms and kitchens and an on-site bakery that help these families not only have a tent and a place to sleep, but also bathrooms to use and kitchen to use. Basic rights that we all have, and we probably don't even realize how lucky we are to have these things. Did we lose it again? Sorry, everyone, technical difficulty number 2. But while we try to get the projector going again, just remember that if we were in Gaza, we would not have the privilege of having a video because there probably would be no electricity. We'd be sitting in the dark, and very unlikely that we would have the privilege to use the projector. But to move on, one of our next projects is the Hot Meal Project. At Hanun Foundation, we believe that every person deserves a warm meal, especially those facing hardships. Our Hot Meal Project is a lifeline for families who would otherwise go without nourishment and comfort during challenging times. In a community where food insecurity is a daily reality, our project serves as a beacon of hope, ensuring that families have access to a hot and nutritious meal when they need it most. As we strive to fulfill our vital mission, we are reminded of the profound verse from the Quran that states, "They ask you, O Muhammad, what they should spend. Say, whatever you spend of good is to be for parents and relatives and orphans and the needy and the traveler. And whatever you do of good, indeed Allah is knowing of it." This is Surah Al-Baqarah, ayah 215. This verse emphasizes the importance of feeding the needy and supporting those who are less fortunate, reaffirming our commitment to serving others and through compassion and kindness. Just imagine if you would have to wake up in the morning and look at your dinner table or your kitchen table and not find a meal, but it doesn't end there. Lunchtime comes and there's still no meal. Dinner time comes and there's still no meal. The next day, maybe 3 days later, before you get your first meal, that's not something that we make up. That's the truth and the reality of the life for our brothers and sisters in Gaza. I'm going to share another video with you. Actually, I'm so sorry. I'm going to skip the video part, but I'm going to skip to the next slide. Our Food Basket Project provides families with sustainability and compassion they need during difficult times. Each food basket is designed to serve a family for 10 to 14 days, including all the basic necessities based on our ability to source and purchase items. So basic items like flour and rice and sugar and all the basic items that are probably sitting in our pantry and they expire before we use them, they're now considered luxury items in Gaza where people can't afford them. And not even that they can't afford them, but they probably can't even locate them because of the limit on the food coming in, especially to the north of Gaza. Alhamdulillah, we have a shipment reaching North Gaza that includes 1,400 food packages, each valued at $50. While our brothers and sisters, especially in the north, are facing severe hunger, we recognize this is only a drop in the ocean. Nonetheless, alhamdulillah, it is something that can bring relief and support to those in need.
Sister, can I ask you something?
Yes.
Your foundation, in where? Rafah now?
We're based in Rafah, but our Food Basket Project is also operating in sending to the north of Gaza.
How do you get the food into Rafah or north? Can you
Yeah.
explain to me
Yeah.
how you-
Yes. So I left the question and answer session because I know that there's a lot of questions, and that's a great question because everybody wonders if Gaza doesn't have food, how are we getting food in? I left that till the end, but I will, yeah, yeah.
We leave the questions to the end. She has a session, questions and answers.
No, you excellent question, but we'll come back to all the questions in the end, inshallah. Okay. So to move on, our water project, one of the other projects we run, it's a crucial, especially during the time of sweltering heat, program that we run. Imagine, again, you have, Gaza's weather is very hot. Like if you think it's hot here, now imagine it maybe 110 degrees, but because they're close to the ocean, the sea, it's also very humid. So it feels like it's a sweltering, maybe 120, 130 degree weather. Imagine with this kind of weather, where you have no water to shower, and more importantly than that, you have no drinking water. Our water project addresses this issue. There's no air condition, no fans. The people live in tents, so you can imagine how hot it is. Access to clean drinking water is a fundamental right, and proper hydration is essential. Through our project, we're able to purchase a 5,000-liter tanker truck of clean drinking water for $250 that serves the people and the families of Gaza. This initiative ensures that these families have vital necessity that they need to stay hydrated and healthy in these challenging conditions. Now I'm going to share a video with you, and you'll see just how desperate the situation is.
هذه مش فوضى، هذا إشي طبيعي بصير من شعب ما بتصلوش المي المعدني بالمرة. إحنا بنروح سفر كانوا بنملى المي بنلاقيها مالحة. أنا شخص مريضة كلى، مريضة سكر، فالمعنى هذه معناها كل شعب بصير إنه بنقطع عنه المية، وبصير في الحالة هذه
احنا تعبانين في عيشتنا. انا كبيره عمري 65 سنه مش قادره امشي اعبي ميه.
احنا كمخيم يعني هاي جبتوا شحنتين، ناس عبت وناس ما ملتش، عندك الراجل لاط ما ملاش. احنا يعني زيدونا، احنا كمخيم تكية بدنا يعني خضرة، كل اشي بدنا قرب للمي، زي 500 متر بدنا نمشي للحووز، يعني منقدرش نعبينا قربة، بنحمد الله وبنشكره.
بيبقى عندنا عمر الطفل 5 سنوات بروحوا بيشيلوا لنا هذا المي من أماكن بعيدة، وإيش الأطفال بدهم يوفروا ليوفرونا من هذه الكميات المياه. إحنا بنعاني كتير في المية، إحنا لما بدنا ناخذ مية بننزل يعني تقريبا كيلو متر حتى نقدر نجيب مية، وإحنا بنقدم لكم بقول لكم إحنا بدنا مزيد من هذه المياه ومزيد من المساعدات حتى نستطيع العيش، لأنه إحنا ناس بنعاني من أجل المياه. فلما هي بتيجي هنا على مخيمنا بتيجي قريبة منا، بنقدر نوفر المي لنا ولأطفالنا.
اتمنى انكم تعيدوا القرة تاني وتجونا انجدتونا من المية اللي بالمرة مش كويس.
والذين هم لأماناتهم وعهدهم راعون. نحن أمانة الله في أعناقكم، أطفالنا ونساؤنا أمانة السماء في رقابكم. راعوا حق الله في أرضه المباركة، راعوا حق الدين في أول قبلة لكم. لعل وعسى ورب شربة ماء مقبولة من ظمأ كافية لك بدخول الجنة، وكافلة لك بتثقيل الموازين.
Another project that we run in the Hanoun Foundation is a baby formula project. Before I share the next video with you, I would like to ask you to take a moment before we watch and just ask you to really listen to their words and imagine if this was your child or your sibling.
هي حسرة، كل واحد فلسطيني حسرة بقلبه موجودة. أنا مش قادر أجيب لها حليب، بعتبروها بالعب مش بنتي. حرقة قلب هذه، في تقول هذه مش بنتي بنتكو.
شايفين هدول الطفلين 6 شهور وسنة ونص. أنا جبتهم بداية تنتين جبتهم معي، ولا جوز معي، والأهل والدي استشهد كان معه مرض سرطان توفى. أهلي بالشمال، أنا فيش إلي معيل. بنتي الصغيرة شايفة هاي بنتي الصغيرة هاي مش لاقي حليب إلها، شايف علبة الحليب كيف مش لاقي حليب من الجوع، حط لها مية وسكر بس عشان تسكت. لو بدي أرضعها فيش حتى طبيعي، فيش أنا نقص علي حاجات كتير لما بدي أرضعها. اضطريت ألجأ للحليب ومش لاقي برضو علب الحليب وغالي كتير الحليب. والله قلوبنا بتتقطع عليهم مش قادرين. احنا الكبار تعبنا، احنا الكبار ككبار تعبنا، مش قادرين نصمد، مش قادرين بنسكت فيهم بنواسي فيهم وبنهوى عليهم لكن مش قادرين نعطيهم اي شيء. هو كان يعيط كثير فحاولنا حطينا ميه وسكر وشربناه ميه وسكر يهدي من جوعه يهدى شوي.
يا ربي طال بنا الهوى مشرقات آت يعز به ويخزى المجرم صبرا جميلا فالصباح أواناه.
جوعانة البنت ايش اعمل؟ انا مش عارفة ايش اعمل. هدول اطفال صغار، مين بيقبل على اولاده يتغدى دقة؟ حدا بيقبل على اولاده يتغدى دقة؟ بس احنا بنرضى بالاشي البسيط، احنا بدنا نعيش يا عالم. بنتي هيا بتعيط بنتي، شايفين؟ كنت بدي اعمل لهم صلصة شوية هيك، صلصة وبصل بس انهم عشان ياكلوا، فيش ولا نار ولا في غاز. الصلصة مية صارت معي، الصلصة مية.
ساعدونا من ناحية الحليب، يجيبوا لنا حليب معين لأطفالنا يشربوا.
حسوا فينا لما كان عمر بن الخطاب يتفقد الأمة، يتفقد الرعية كل يوم. وين شعوب العالم؟ وين الرؤساء؟ وين احنا مش متحملين الوضع.
لما تخذل في البرايا بصيح يا رب، لما لك صايب في الغربة وتنساه الأعراض، لما الأخذ لا ينكر من الماضي ما طاب، لما في غزة النسى بصيح يا رب، بصيح يا رب. يا ربي من عالي السماء محلها ملينا من هذا الظلم، جيناك للباب جيناك للباب يا رب الأرباب.
Imagine that. You have a little baby, brother, sister, child, and you're feeding them in their bottle water and sugar because you can't afford an $8 bottle of formula to feed your child. Next, we have our bread project. Our bread project is especially rewarding. It is run by displaced women in the camp who have either lost or have been separated from their husbands. With a focus on sustainability and empowerment, we have hired these women to bake bread for our project. We pay them for their service, and in return, they provide us with the bread they bake, which we then distribute to displaced families. The people of Gaza are proud and deserving of a dignified life to live. Despite the harsh realities they face, this program allows us to empower these women while providing essential nourishment to their community. Those were the programs that we run, and now I want to take it to the next phase of the subject. Is that we have a lot of youth here, and I focused a little bit on this subject on the youth because many of you probably think, oh, it's been going on forever, there's nothing I can do, what could I do, how can I help, I can't do anything, I can't make a difference. So I've gone through a list of ways in which the youth especially can help support the people of Gaza in these troubling 300th day. Remember, today's the 300th day of this genocide on Gaza, and these are ways in which you can help. First and foremost, never underestimate the power of dua. Our brothers and sisters have shown us that dua is our most powerful tool. Make your dua with sincerity and conviction, knowing it's one of the greatest gifts we can offer them. Let your prayers be heartfelt and unwavering. When you think about, oh, I'm playing basketball, or I'm going to the soccer game, or I have video games to play, think of a reason of why, in the salah time comes in and you're a little bit busy with the basketball or the soccer or whatever it is. Here's a great reason to run to salah, because it's your opportunity, especially the youth, to make dua. That's the greatest gift you can give the people of Gaza. And that's your opportunity to be nearest and closest to Allah and make a dua that inshallah might be answered. And who knows, might be your dua that changes the situation in Gaza. In addition to making dua, there's of course other ways. One way is of course to find institutions and organizations to financially support so that the work on the ground, the necessary work on the ground can continue. And it doesn't mean that, I don't have money and I don't have a job yet and I don't have to pay, because it could start with something small. You're spending money that your family gives you. You can put a sadaqah jar in your house, and every day, if you get $5 allowance or $10 allowance or whatever it is, take $1 of that and put in the sadaqah jar, and at the end of the month, collect it and give it to those organizations that are out there, Hanun and others, that can help really make a difference on the ground. Another great way to help, and I think we're all responsible for in this regard, is advocacy and awareness. Raise awareness. You all are on social media. Our voices, the voices of the people of Gaza, and anybody, you all have shadow banning, I think they call it, and all the other ways that they're trying to shut down the topic of Gaza from being discussed. Raise awareness and advocate on social media. Use that social media time that you spend with purpose of advocating for the people of Gaza. Share the stories. They're not allowing foreign journalists inside of Gaza. They're counting on the people of Gaza are counting on each and every one of us to share the stories that they share and reshare it with our community, with our family, with our friends. So don't underestimate the power of social media. If it wasn't for social media, and why was this war was different than any other, it was because of the power of social media. So use it and use it wisely and share the stories that you see and they're being shared coming out of Gaza. There's a lot of opportunities to volunteer. All organizations look for volunteers to help and ways to volunteer. Whether it's different events and functions that they put together, and they're always looking for volunteers. There's so many ways that you can help volunteer. Local efforts, international efforts. There's lots of ways that you can volunteer and make your time beneficial to the people of Gaza. There's a lot of refugees coming in, believe it or not. They're coming in through other NGOs and organizations. Some of them are displaced and they had family here. They were bringing them in. Some are coming for medical care. There's always ways to volunteer by supporting them. There's a lot of kids who come in for medical care. It's close in age to you guys. Maybe one day you can, dedicate it to volunteering to go visit these families and supporting them. Another very important one, and I think it's most important for all of us, is education, educating ourselves on the situation. A lot of us, when we speak about Gaza and speak about Palestine, we speak emotionally. We're, a group in our society has taught us to be very emotional people. But what wins the war in the long run is knowing your facts and being educated on our history. So know that especially for the young kids, getting ready to go to high school or getting ready to go to college, it's very important to know your history, and so that when you're put in a situation where people tell you false, narratives on Gaza or Palestine, you have to know your history and know your stuff so that you can answer them in a very wise and efficient way. So read and study and watch videos and documentaries, and email us if you want sources and resources. Our email is on the banner here. Community engagement is another big one. I mean, we all know that the politicians listen to those that listen to those that have number. So advocate your group and your people and sign the petitions and go to your local authorities and explain to them why we demand a ceasefire in Gaza, why it's important that they stop, fighting this war in Gaza, this unjust war in Gaza. So for sure, that's another great one. And then finally, there's always opportunity that wins the hearts of the world is promote peace and justice. We're, peace-loving people. The narrative in the media portrays us otherwise, but we really aren't. I mean, you look at Islam, one of the greatest religions in the world, I'll argue. I can be Muslim, I can be walking down the street, I will see somebody Muslim and I will give the greeting of Islam to them just because we're Muslim. I don't know them, they don't know me. No other religion, no other ideology, no other group of people in the world do and have that opportunity like we do. Finally, stay informed. I think staying informed and keeping, informed on the updates of what's happening in Gaza is very important to all of us. Stay informed, follow the social media, all the people on social media, follow Hanoun Foundation on Instagram and see what's going on and what's happening, and learn about what's going on and how you can make a difference. I guess that's my presentation, and that's who Hanoun is. And I left a little bit on the end so that we can do a question and answer, and I'll return to the brother's question, inshallah, about how do we get money into Gaza and how do we get the supplies and the resources that they need into Gaza. That's an excellent question that's, comes across everybody's mind included. Hanoun Foundation, I'm going to speak on behalf of Hanoun Foundation. We've partnered with a local Palestinian organization registered in both the West Bank and in Gaza, who are locally on the ground, and we're doing all our projects through them. So we send the money, we can send the money to them through their contact in Egypt, and then their contact in Egypt, because their contact in Egypt has a ground people inside of Gaza, distributes from the big vendors and the businessmen inside of Gaza the items that we need to purchase. So whether it's the formula or the flour or the food baskets or whatever it is, it's all done through our partners on the ground that we've partnered with, and we don't send money to Gaza because getting money into Gaza, number one, it's pre-October 7, it was doable, but even in the beginning days of the war, it was possible. But now, because there is a very limited, funds and dollars circulating, it's become very, very hard and difficult. So we've opted to the route of sending to Egypt, and then our partner sources the stuff inside of Gaza. Our partner, I'll explain a little bit about our partner. Our partner is actually from Gaza. He was one of the wealthy businessmen, maybe millionaire, maybe even past that. One of the biggest tajirs inside of Gaza. He evacuated Gaza in the early days of the war in October. He went and he resided in Egypt. So he's directing he's our vendor. We supply him with the cost. We know what we're purchasing. He gives us a purchase order, just like if you were going to go build a house and you were going to go to Home Depot, they're going to give you an invoice with every price that you're going to pay. He does the same for us. This is what we're purchasing. This is the cost. He receives his money. He dispenses the merchandise for us inside of Gaza.
Nothing had entered Gaza for our people there. It's closed.
Yes.
Whoever it is, they closed that.
Yes.
So now, how did this?
Okay. So if in my presentation I mentioned how we're getting 1,400 food packages inside of Gaza, that was an agreement that we had with our vendors in Egypt, and he had guaranteed 48 hours of receiving his money. Our food packages were going to be delivered from Egypt to Gaza. The Rafah border was open. So Rafah closed the day he received the money. No one expects these things. This is Gaza, and in any second, things can be good today, and in 2 seconds, things change. So the border closed. So what happened to our trailer of food baskets? It got diverted to the Karam Abu Salim crossing. So there's 3 crossings to get into Gaza. There's the Eretz crossing that is closed because of October 7. There's the Rafah crossing that it got closed about 2.5 months ago. And then there's the Karam Abu Salim crossing. There's a lot that goes missing and disappearing. But alhamdulillah, our trailer got stuck on that border. It arrived, it got stuck. We got the approval of the Israelis to bring it in. And then it got sent into Gaza. And until this very day, it's about maybe 2 weeks ago, 3 weeks ago that they approved this to enter Gaza. It's still waiting security clearance. So once that security clearance why? Because the shahn is going to the north of Gaza. So it has to go through double set of security. You have to go through security at the Karam Abu Salim crossing to enter, and then it has to go through a second set of security to get to the north of Gaza. I hope I answered your questions. Anybody else have any questions? Yeah. Yeah, I try at Hanoun, what we try to do, as I mentioned, that we're not, in order to be able to do the work that we do, and to be able to get to Gaza and to partner with the people we partner and get our humanitarian aid in, we're very, monitored very, very tightly. We are non-political. So whatever politics, whether we agree with them or don't agree with them, we try not to focus on that too much because our end mission is to serve the people of Gaza. And the only way we can do that is focus on what we have control over. Some things like CC, whether we agree or we don't agree, whether the crossing gets closed or it stays open, we have no control over certain things. We only have control over what we have control over. So we focus on that because otherwise it's just wasted energy. Any other questions, any of the youth, any questions about anything that you heard? Was it insightful? Any feedback? So if any of the youth physically want to volunteer, part of Hanun Foundation, I didn't speak about that yet because like I mentioned, we're focused solely on humanitarian relief inside of Gaza. I've been to Gaza plenty of times. I lost count. Suha was asking, I've lost count how many times I've went. I've started going to Gaza in 2012. As I mentioned, my last trip was 2023, right before the war. And I saw the difference it made in my life when I entered Gaza, the way I started thinking about life and how my life changed, versus when I just was watching it on the news because my dad, Allah yarhamah, had the CNN or Al Jazeera or whatever playing, and we'd fight with him to change the channel. So inshallah in the future, one of the programs that we hope to initiate inside of Hanun Foundation is youth trips to, I can't promise Gaza, but to the refugee camps in Jordan and in Lebanon and wherever else we can take our kids to. Because I know the difference it made in my life, and I want to give our kids that chance and opportunity. So just so that the youth, again, I like to focus my talk on the youth because I was once, not wanting to listen to the person speaking because I had a basketball game or whatever to run back to. But I was in Gaza this summer because I run an amputee summer camp. So before the war, there was 150 amputee children. And an amputee, for those who don't know, are young kids or adults that are missing limbs. Some war related, some cancer related, some accident related. We would run a summer camp every year, and that's why I was there this summer. One of the kids during the summer camp, she was an 8-year-old girl. Her name was Ahid. Imagine you're an 8-year-old girl and your family sends you to a summer camp to have fun. Every day in the summer camp, we would serve breakfast and lunch. Most of these kids were poor before the war and it didn't change after. The situation just got worse. Ahid, every day, breakfast and lunch would be served. She had a bag, but she would never eat it because every day she would pack it away in her bag. Ignorant me was my first trip, first summer camp and first time witnessing something like that. I went to her and I'm like, maybe you're not liking the food. I see you every day packing it away. Is it something about what is it that you like? So tomorrow we can order it for you. She responded to me, no, I love the food, but I can't eat it here. So I pack it to take it home so I can share it with my siblings. Imagine an 8-year-old here. We have our family sometimes maybe sends lunch or sends money so we can buy lunch and we're still complaining or we're throwing it away. It's not something that interests us. Maybe, your mom cooked the same meal for 2 days in a row and telling you second leftovers and, you're just fed up with it. Now imagine an 8-year-old girl who thinks, oh, I can't eat the meal. I'm going to watch all the other kids eat it because I have to take mine home so I can share it with my siblings. Imagine that for a second. Anybody have any other questions?
How many members, volunteers, employees do you have?
The partners that we have on the ground are 85 members. 85 members that run our projects, the shelter project, the bread project. We ran chicken projects as well, twice in Gaza, where we sourced chicken at below market rate, and we were able to distribute them to 3,000 plus families each time. Alhamdulillah, during Eid al-Adha, we all know that, one of the rituals of Eid al-Adha is to sacrifice a goat or a lamb or a sheep and feed it to the poor people. This year, there was a little bit of controversy on the subject, where a lot of people said, the cost of a sheep in Gaza, there were no cows in Gaza, but the cost of a sheep was very expensive. So let's not do it. But then the team that I have on the ground contacted me again, because how do I get, the assessments that are done from these volunteers that we have on the ground that work with us? They said, why is Eid al-Adha called Eid al-Adha? And why do we sacrifice sheep? Is it not to feed the poor people meat who can't afford it once a year? I said, exactly. So they said, then why not serve meat to the people of Gaza this year? And alhamdulillah, we sent 9 adahi to Gaza this year. But imagine even the meat, like how much food do we cook and throw away? Like every rice and every grain of rice that we, take for granted that we have is a treasure for the people of Gaza. Anybody else from the youth have any questions or concerns or comments? I have our banner up. It has both our Instagram for the kids and for, of course, anybody who would like to donate as well. It has our link to donate, the QR code, but it also has our email. I urge everybody to screenshot the QR code for at least the Instagram and follow it. And maybe for the youth that want to volunteer, or even the adults that have questions or have, other concerns, there's also an email address that you can reach out to us, and we will definitely respond to any questions, concerns, or anything you have. But the Instagram will keep you updated on all the distributions that we do, all the projects that we do, and any volunteer opportunities. We'll usually update it on the Instagram or the website, and both those information are listed on the banner over here. Foundation is based in New Jersey. I live in Cliffside Park, and was registered in New Jersey first, but we also have state registration in other U.S. states. You have to be registered in every state that you work in. So we're in the process of registering in other states. We have our IRS registration as well. So anybody that does ever decide to give a donation, you'll get your tax receipt. So instead of paying Uncle Sam, you do a good deed, and you get your tax receipt for a write-off at the end of the year. Inshallah. Well, Jazakallah khair for having me tonight. Thank you, Sister Suha, for initiating this. I will be around for the rest of the evening until Isha time. So if anybody has any questions, concerns, or anything I can help with, I'm more than glad to do so, inshallah. Jazakallah khair.